So you guys are hearing that a lot of buyers are using an escalation clause to get their offers accepted. What's an escalation clause? Well, stay tuned. Buy first or sell first?
Hot market.
So for the past few years, it's been a seller's market, and it's highly competitive out there. And you've been hearing that some buyers are using what we call an escalation clause. So number one, what is an escalation clause? And number two, how do these things work? So what I'm going to do is I want to share two sample escalation clauses with you guys. The first one's going to be a generic escalation clause, and then the second one's going to actually have a cap. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at some of the verbiage on these clauses. So escalation clause A, should there be another simultaneous offer to purchase the aforementioned property, buyer of this contract agrees to pay $10,000. And remember, you guys can put $1,000, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. It all depends on your market. But in this case, I'm just going to write $10,000 above or over the other simultaneous offer. Should this event occur, listing broker must provide buyer broker either with first and 10th page of any other offer in competition or any counter offer showing the final negotiated price upon acceptance of this offer dated in today's date, like 10/10/2021, prior and up to ours. Okay, so let's look at clause number 2. This is the one with the cap. So buyer offers to pay $975,000 of the home, but if the seller receives an offer that is higher, buyer will increase the price by $10,000 above the amount of the other offer, not to exceed $1 million. Okay, so question number 1, how does the escalation clause work? So how do these things work? The escalation clause allows the buyer to bid the price up without kind of really knowing what the highest price is going to be. But let's face it, the whole point of this is that it keeps you in the game. So in a sense, you have control and you don't have control. I mean, let's face it, you're in a multiple offer situation. Nobody knows what the highest offer is going to be at that time. But at least you can call the shots with your buyer and say, okay, do I want to stay in the game? And if so, do you want to do it by $1,000? Do you want to do it by $3,000, $5,000, $7,000, $10,000? I mean, it's all going to depend on your market. I get together with my buyer. I kind of assess where the buying power is, and I might suggest to my buyer to give like $3,000 more, give $10,000 more. Second, how these things work. Let's just say I do get accepted by using the escalation clause. I will ask the listing site, hey, show me page 1 and 10 of the offer. That way I know that these numbers are not bogus or not phony. I might meet them in person and just real quickly take a look at the other offers just to know. So, I can kind of guide my buyer and let them know, yeah, I did take a look at it. There are offers at $988,000. And so your $1 million offer makes sense in this situation. Okay, question number 2, when do you use an escalation clause? So you're going to use an escalation clause when you're in a multiple offer situation or when it's a completely competitive environment. So initially, I talked this over with my buyer. I will use it on some cases when I initially put the first offer through, and sometimes I don't. If I feel that on a particular deal, like I already know they're going to give a generic seller multiple counter offer back and they're just going to put in their submit highest and best, I don't want to give all my cards out. So I will use a regular offer without an escalation clause in my initial offer, and then when they multiple counter offer back to me, that's when I will stick in an escalation clause and kind of surprise everybody. That way it keeps my buyer in the game. Maddie. Okay, question number 3. What are the pros of using an escalation clause? So as we mentioned earlier, it keeps you in the game. The seller's going to know that you're a strong candidate and at least allows you to continue your negotiation and talk track with the listing agent. It keeps you relevant. It also shows that you're a strong contender, a strong candidate for this home. And last, it allows you to beat out the highest price, but by a minimal amount. So you're not going to give like this crazy offer and throw all of your chips away, but you can set the amount and buy a minimal amount, and you're telling the listing agent and the seller, hey, this is what I'm willing to beat the highest offer out by. Okay, so question number 4, what are the cons of using an escalation clause? Number 1, some listing agents aren't really savvy with these escalation clauses, and so it can actually frustrate them. Sometimes I call them up and I say like, hey, are you guys okay if I use an escalation clause? And some of them will tell me, I'm so okay with it, while the other ones will say, hey, don't use it. I'm not going to accept it. But at the end of the day, it's really not up to them. But you may kind of piss them off. And so that's something that you want to talk over with your buyer and figure out if you want to go ahead and submit. Second, it kind of gives away your bargaining power and your bargaining position. So when you give an escalation clause, it shows that, hey, I'm willing to come up and, I have more room to come up in my price rather than being set stone in the current price that you're giving. And last, it reveals kind of your max price point. And sometimes sellers can use that and leverage that to continue to drive the price up. So once again, you want to work with your agent and figure out if this is the best way to go. So question number 5, is an escalation clause binding? So if drafted properly, yes, it is binding. Now, here's the deal. Let's just say you're in negotiations on a house and you give an offer at 988,888, and the highest offer that came in is $1 million, and you decided to go 10,000 above the highest price. So it's at $1 million. Listing agent's going to tell you, all right, you guys ready to put in $1,010,000? That's the offer you gave. And all of a sudden you're like, I didn't want to spend $1 million. I'm going to back out now. I mean, the thing is, you haven't really technically opened escrow. There's no initial deposit, no EMD in there. And in this hot seller's market, if you don't have money in the escrow, chances are the seller's probably going to turn around and just give it to the next person and not want to deal with you, and you PO'd off the listing agent. But I'm going to lean more on the side that, yes, if you do draft an offer properly, that it's binding. So on this one, I'm just going to put buyer to satisfy, since I'm not an attorney, and for buyer to seek legal advice on that. Question number 6, what if an agent doesn't respond to your offer with an escalation clause in it? So, I just gently nudge them, and if I don't get a response on that, I will call them up ahead of time and say, hey, did you guys submit, see the offer I submitted? Did you take a look at the escalation clause? And if they, say, I don't take them, I do question them back, and I say, it's not up to the agent at the end of the day, just because they're uncomfortable with it. At the end of the day, it's up to the seller. So I'll just kindly say, hey, did you guys present this to the seller? And it's a risk that you have to take. I mean, if the agent doesn't present it, there's really not much you can do. It's not like you want to go into a boxing match with them. So I will kindly nudge them. I will present the escalation offer over the phone, and I will guide them through it. And if they don't respond, I'll just, tell them, hey, show it to the seller and see what they say. Question number 7, are escalation clauses effective? So, from my experience, let's just say out of the 20-something offers that were submitted this past year, 75 to 80% of my offers came with escalation clauses. And I will tell you, I've gotten more offers accepted by using them than from not using them. So it's a risk, once again, that you're willing to take. But for the majority, I would suggest putting an escalation clause in there, especially if your buyer wants the property really bad. What is there to lose? If they're willing to come up and they have the financial capability to do so, and if you've done the buying power properly in your market, you know what? I say put it in there and use it. Okay, and final question. What is Maddie's personality like? She wanted me to ask you guys. So you guys, thank you so much for watching our video. We had a lot of questions about how exactly the escalation clause works. So we put this video together for you guys. I hope it's informative, and see you guys
Next week. Bye.